Well, welcome to part 2. If you missed part 1, go check it out somewhere up there. Do you ever feel like you're spinning your wheels, like you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, but somehow you're not getting anywhere? You're working hard, you're following the plan, you're checking all the boxes, but the results just aren't coming. Welcome to Stuckness, and trust me, you are not alone. I'm Coach Dave, and I've been helping people cultivate mental and metabolic health for over 10 years. Here's what's happening. Your ego, or your conditioned mind, we talked about that last time, is that bundle of unconscious habits you've accumulated over your lifetime, and it's trying to keep you doing things the way you've always done them, even when those things aren't working, even when the world around you has changed, and even when you desperately need a new approach. The good news? There's a tool that can help you get unstuck. It's called the OODA Loop, OODA. And once you understand how to use it, you'll have a framework for navigating not just the challenges you're facing now, but every emerging, unfolding challenge life throws your way. What a deal. So what is the OODA Loop? OODA is an acronym. It stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. And then you repeat the whole process again and again. The framework was developed by Colonel John Boyd of the U.S. Air Force as a decision-making tool for fighter pilots. When you're engaged in aerial combat, you need to make decisions and take actions very quickly. The OODA Loop is a structured approach that trains pilots to think without thinking when engaged with an enemy that they need to defeat or risk being defeated themselves. High stakes. Since it was developed, the OODA Loop has been adapted to every imaginable application. Google it and you'll discover how it's been deployed in military and law enforcement situations, business and athletic environments, and in both group and individual relationships. Think of a soldier who needs to make rapid-fire decisions in order to survive and win. Think of a football player running back a kick return or calling a potentially game-deciding play with only seconds on the clock. Think of a surfer riding big waves in competition, reading the water, dropping in, and constantly adapting to the changing form as it unfurls beneath them. Think of the business owner competing for a career-making bid with limited information and his company's future on the line. Think of the emergency room doctor who has to assess a new patient in seconds and make decisions that might save or end their life. Think of the young couple navigating their first home purchase or the birth of their first child. Think of the adult with aging parents as they navigate the prospect of assisted living and medical complications while tending to their own family's needs as well. In every one of these situations, the ability to observe what's actually happening, orient yourself to current reality as it unfolds, decide on a course of action, and then initiate new action quickly and repeatedly can mean the difference between success and failure, progress and stagnation, even life and death. Okay, story time. In 2020, while the COVID pandemic was erupting all around us, my son Julian needed a kidney transplant. We had to relocate to California so he could receive the medical attention that would save his life. We were there for nearly 4 months, and it was one long procession of observing, orienting, deciding, and taking action, and then observing and reorienting all over again. The hardest moment for me came right at the beginning. We had been told that we had a week or more to prepare, but then the decision was made for us by the doctors. You need to come now. I had 48 hours to pack everything we'd need for a trip that might take months or even years. We had no idea in that moment. How do you even pack for a trip like that? I remember standing in the anteroom in front of the master bedroom, just breathing and looking at myself in the mirror, fending off a panic attack as I considered what I even needed to bring. I thought, okay, luggage. I need luggage. Okay, I probably need my toiletry bag. Meds, we'll need Julian's meds. I just remembered the checklist forming itself in my head while I looked at myself in the mirror thinking, okay, this is happening, and it's happening now. You need to move, start moving, keep breathing, and start moving. That was a major OODA moment for me. And there were so many more. When we arrived, Julian was immediately admitted to the hospital and put on dialysis. Then there was the time he threw up his feeding tube and would not let me or the 4 nurses in the ER reinsert it, not even with a dose of Versed in his system. I had to reinvent his nutrition program in a matter of hours because he was done having a tube shoved up his nose and down his throat. We'd been told that it might be years before a donor kidney might be available, even for pediatrics. But on the 40th day after he was put on dialysis, we got the call at 11 o'clock in the morning and we were on our way. Pivot, adapt, repeat. If we'd been stuck doing things the way we'd always done them, I doubt we'd be where we are today. And I gotta say, where we are today is pretty dang good. So why do we get stuck? Here's the thing. Your ego, your conditioned mind, isn't malicious. It's just trying to help. Its job is simple. Just do what you did yesterday. Keep you safe, keep you on the path, in that familiar groove. We talked about this last time around. But when circumstances change and your old approaches stop working, your ego becomes the problem instead of the solution. It creates resistance. You observe what's happening, you might even orient yourself to the new reality, but then you get stuck at the point of making a decision to take new action. This is especially difficult when your identity is attached to the way you've been taught to think and behave. Maybe you feel like you'd be betraying who you are if you tried something different. Or maybe, like a black sheep in an extended family, you feel like you'd be betraying your family if you started living in a way that departs from how you were raised. Those family ties are sticky. Sometimes family systems reward keeping the faith and upholding generational traditions, even when those traditions no longer serve you. And I realize it can be very challenging to determine when a tradition is or isn't serving you. I get that. But here's the hard truth. Getting older does not necessarily correlate to maturing. Not everyone in your life will recognize or be willing to acknowledge how dynamics have changed as everybody ages. But staying stuck to preserve an identity or keep the peace, that is a recipe for frustration and stagnation. So how do we get unstuck? If you're stuck in an area of your life, the first thing you need to do is take an honest assessment of where you actually are. Remember the 11th commandment, thou shalt not fool thyself. Deal honestly with reality. Don't sugarcoat your present circumstances. Get feedback and make honest observations and be as comprehensive as you can. Only when you have accurate, comprehensive data are you in a position to consider new orientations, new decisions, and new actions. Ask yourself these immediate questions. Where am I? What is actually happening? What was I expecting to happen? What results was I hoping for? What results am I actually getting? What accounts for the difference? What's missing? Finally, revisit your vision. What life did you dream of when you were younger? What life do you want now? How have you done so far? How does your current reality compare to the dream? What accounts for that difference? And here's the key question. What is your plan for resolving the gap between your goal and your current trajectory? How are you going to course correct? What new method can you deploy? And then get into action. That's the OODA Loop in action. Observe where you are, orient to current reality, decide on a new approach, and then act on it. And then observe the results. Keep running the loop. Rinse and repeat. Keep moving. Life is an emerging, unfolding experience. What worked yesterday might not work today. The skills that got you here might not get you there. The relationship dynamics that made sense 10 years ago might be choking the life out of you now. The OODA Loop isn't just a decision-making framework for fighter pilots and emergency room doctors. It's a way of moving through life with adaptability, resilience, and grace. It's how you get unstuck. It's how you keep growing. Napoleon Hill put it perfectly when he said, "Success is largely a matter of adapting to the changing circumstances of life in a spirit of harmony and poise." So here's what I want you to take away. When it feels like life has you in check, you always have another move available. Better yet, if the OODA Loop is a new idea for you, you now have a new way of viewing the board and playing the game. You always have the ability to observe honestly, orient to what's real, decide on a new course, and initiate new action. You're not trapped. You're not actually stuck. You just need to loop. I hope this is helpful. If it is, share it with someone you care about. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories in the comments below. This is the kind of thing I'm writing about in my new book, which will be released later this year. If you'd like to join that waitlist, visit mycoachdave.net.